Erin Micklow, and I'm here with Ian from Warwound. Warwound actually was a band in 1982 and then broke up, and you're kind of coming back now. Can you talk more about that?
About why we came back, or?
Yeah, kind of just the process of what happened. I mean, you released a couple EPs and singles and then broke up in 83.
Okay, so like to cut a really long story really short, Damien, the guitarist now, was the bassist, and they formed in like 82 in the Midlands, and they did 3 demos and like a handful of gigs. And then Damien joined the Verucas, and he played on their classic Another Religion, Another War 12-inch. Then he left the Verucas, flitting around trying to find himself, and formed Sacrilege, which were his band that everybody knows him for. Did a couple of classic records, and then they split up, and he sort of vanished. And then like fast forward 25 years, and Damien sort of realised there was still a lot of interest in Sacrilege when Relapse did the Sacrilege reissues. But Sacrilege were never going to play live, and he had this itch to play live again. So he's basically put together Warwound, moved on to guitar, got a new band around him, and since then we were determined not to live on like past glories if they were that glorious. So we did some new songs, a new album. It's a totally different band really, but there is that connection to the early 80s, and everyone in the band has been into punk since like 1980, so we're all fossils, but we're playing something that's really relevant and energetic. Yeah.
And you guys are actually coming over to America November and December, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, we came to the States a couple of years ago, but that was up through the Midwest, through Texas and Minneapolis and stuff. And that was on the back of 3 30-year-old demos. So now we've got an album out. We're going to do the West Coast, so LA and Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Las Vegas.
Have you done the West Coast since the band reunited?
No, never.
Oh, that's awesome.
We want to show people out there what we're about, and it's totally fiercely DIY. So we're going out there with like an anarcho-punk band who are lending us all their gear, driving us around. So it's definitely underground.
You guys are all kind of in different places. Does that make it difficult to record?
Yeah. Well, so we all live like 3-4 hours apart. So Steve is in the northeast, I'm in the southwest. Rat's in Nottingham, and Damien's in Stoke, which is where Discharge are from. So we sort of meet in the middle in Nottingham and rehearse once in a blue moon, and we do all our writing like over the internet, because that's the beauty of email and stuff like that. So that's how we write stuff. But it's kind of difficult. But it's logistics, and we're all like grown up enough to figure it out.
Do you have any new music coming out soon?
Yeah, so we did the new album, which is now the old album, Burning the Blindfolds of Bigots. Came out in 2017, and we've probably written 16 songs for the next album.
That's awesome.
We just haven't arranged them properly. So me and Stevie, the drummer, pretty much demoed all the material for the next album. We got like lyrics coming out areas. We got plenty to say, loads of music that we want to put out there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, there'll be another album soon.
Cool. Do you think you'll release it in 2018 or maybe on more 2019?
I'll say 2018, but realistically it's going to be 2019.
Yeah.
So we got some split 7-inches coming out before the end of the year. One with an Australian band called Ruckus, one with a Spanish band called Ultimo Gobierno. So they'll be out this year, and to tide people over till the album comes out.
That's awesome. But you're actually a writer. You've written several books that are pretty famous in America, punk books. Can you talk more about those?
Yeah, so I wrote fanzines in the 80s like everybody did, and then I started writing for like magazines like Record Collector and Terrorizer. And then I was reviewing all these books about UK punk, and all anyone would ever write about was the Damned, the Clash, the Pistols. And I was thinking, where is the book on Discharge and the Exploited and GBH and Blitz?
Yeah.
Because that was punk to me. That was the era that I got into it. So I just wrote the book I wanted to put on my own shelf, which was Burning Britain. And that took off. So, all I did was write the book I wanted to see, and luckily loads of other people wanted to see it as well. And then I did the anarcho-punk book, and then I sort of started working through it. So it was late 80s, UK hardcore, and I've just done a book on UK thrash metal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is like a true underdog story. So it's got loads of connections with the punk scene as well. So
yeah,
that's what I'm about, is giving kudos to the bands that otherwise wouldn't get documented.
Yeah.
Before people forget about them, someone needs to write their story down. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's what
I'll have to check those books out. I was Googling about them and I was like, oh, I've seen this book before.
Yeah. Well, in America, PM Press redid the first 2 books.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote some extra material for it. So there's like 7 extra chapters to Burn in Britain and loads of extra photos and stuff like that. So it's like the American version is different to the European version.
That's awesome. So, do you think you'll write some more books?
Probably going to do like a 20 years of post-millennial UK punk book to bring it up to date. And then I might write a personal account of it as well. So try and tie it in with all the bands I've been in since the early 80s. Just, all the stories that, and things I saw and bands we played with and stuff like that. So I might do that. That just feels a bit too much like me massaging my ego. So I keep putting it off.
Yeah.
But, it's too close. I don't want it to be an autobiography.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be like a veiled autobiography.
Yeah.
Like the story of the punk scene, but just from my perspective.
I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to read that.
Yeah, and that's the worry, is that because it's from my perspective, who gives a shit? Who wants to read it? Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but I think if your perspective is interesting and it's, in line with other people's perspectives, then people would love to read it. And I think it's more personal that way because it's your perspective and you were there. So
I think that's the important thing is all the books are quite personal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I've written one book, people are saying, "Oh, we wrote this book on the dead Kennedys," and I'm like, well. I never lived in San Francisco. I never saw them at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fake it. So I want to write about stuff I experienced, about bands that I know and I've interacted with and stuff like that. So, it's not a job. I don't need to write the books. I just want to write them and make them as good as they can be, really.
For sure.
So,
thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thanks for having me.
You guys were amazing yesterday.
That's great. It's great. And come check us out on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'd love to. It'll be awesome.
Okay. I'm Ian from Warwound, and you're watching Last Rockers TV.
The end is not destruction of the planet! Just let us in!